Hello, hello.
Searching for music for your next video?
Whoa, we're
Then
not
you
searching
need to
for
check out
video.
Artist.
Is everyone nice and relaxed? Hope you didn't go to sleep on me with that nice relaxing music. All right, so how are all the happypreneurs in Happy Land doing today? Let me know if you can see me and hear me, and also let me know where you're from. Just type in the comments below where you're from. All right, so we are going to go over something super important today, and that is rules of the mind. If you can understand these rules and master these rules, your life will be super joyous. Happy, joyous relationships will improve. So anyway, let's jump in. Hope everyone's doing well. Again, if you can let me know where you're from, and if you can let me know if you can hear and see me, that would be great. Let me check my Facebook, see if I can get a comment there. All right. So welcome everyone. Welcome all the happypreneurs. I hope you're happy today. And if you're not, it's just a choice you get to make. Change your thinking. Every single problem you have begins with your thinking. So today we're going to discuss the rules of the mind, and we're going to explore how our minds work. So these rules of the mind are from a mentor of mine, Marissa Peer. Marissa is the one who taught me rapid transformational therapy. And for you guys that don't know, that is a technique that can get you results in hours where other therapies can't get you results in decades. Most of my clients, and including myself, spent decades in individual therapy and marriage counseling, all kinds of things. So anyway, was super happy to find rapid transformational therapy, and I use that now as part of my tool chest to help clients overcome whatever their issue is in a matter of hours. So what are we going to learn tonight? We're going to learn some of the key principles that govern our thoughts and behaviors and how we can use them to our advantage. So let's jump in. If you guys have any questions, any comments, please put them down in the comment section. And at the end, I'll look at them and see if there's any questions that I can answer. So number one is the mind learns by repetition. So the first rule is that the mind learns by repeating something. Like if you remember in school, you had to memorize something, you'd repeat it over and over and over again. So this means that we repeat in our minds on a regular basis. What we repeat in our minds on a regular basis will become our reality. So if we want to achieve something, we need to be consistent in our effort and practice. We need to keep telling ourselves over and over and over again, it's possible, and keep visualizing the outcome that we want. Number two, the mind cannot hold conflicting beliefs or thoughts. They cancel each other out. So this means that we must be super careful about what we tell ourselves and focus on one thing at a time. If we want to be successful, but we also tell ourselves that success is impossible, these two thoughts will cancel each other out and nothing will happen. It's also why so many adults say their childhood was happy when it wasn't. 9.8 out of 10 of my clients say that their childhood was happy, because the mind of a child or adult can't think of it was happy, it was sad. So a lot of them tend to say it was happy. And I'm not necessarily ever getting someone to think that they have a bad childhood, but it's awareness. With awareness comes change. So most of the folks I worked with, including myself, were stuck in this invisible prison from their childhood programming. So what we do is we reverse that in the 5-week program that I have. Number three, what is expected tends to be realized. So this rule emphasizes the power of positive thinking and how having positive expectations can lead to positive outcomes. So for example, if you start a new job with the expectation that you'll be successful, you're far more likely to achieve success than if you have a negative outlook. This is like going to a party or going to dinner, right? If you're driving to dinner or driving to the party saying this is going to suck, guess what? It is going to suck. If you say this is going to be an awesome time, I'm going to learn something, I'm going to meet some new people, that'll probably happen. So anyway, what's expected tends to be realized. This is because the expectations we have for ourselves dictate our behaviors. So expect good things and good things will happen. I can't tell you how many good things happen in my life now that I can't remember 3 years ago happened to me. And I think that's because I see the world in a different way, because I see myself in a different way. So my eyes have changed. Imagination is more, number 4, imagination is more powerful than knowledge when dealing with your own mind or the mind of others. So there's a good chance that throughout your life, you've used imagination in the wrong way, imagining yourself to be someone you aren't. And that could be someone who wasn't good enough or wasn't smart enough or wasn't fast enough or wasn't pretty enough, whatever shortcoming that you may believe that you have. In my practice, I teach you through hypnosis to use your imagination and suggestion in a positive way to radically change your behavior. So there's something called neuroplasticity that each of us has the ability to do, and it's our brain's natural ability to regrow new neural pathways. So when you start giving yourself these suggestions in an alpha wave brain state at night, when I suggest that you listen to the recording that I make for you, you accept these suggestions more likely because of the brainwave state that you're in. And then you use your imagination and suggestions in a good way to change your thinking and thus radically change your behavior. It's quite amazing. Number 5, in a battle between emotion and logic, guess what always wins? Emotion always wins. So this essentially means that when you're faced with a decision, your emotions tend to have more of an influence than our logical thinking. So to illustrate this, let's imagine this scenario. 2 people at the grocery store are fighting over a shopping cart that leads to an assault of some type, or whatever it escalates to, yelling, screaming, throwing, I don't know what it leads to. Probably we've all seen it to some degree. There's zero logic in this, right? What is the logic? There's another cart that's going to be coming, or if you walk 10 feet, there's 100 carts, right? So this is 0% logic and 100% emotion caused by what? Childhood programming. So fighting over shopping cart, fighting with your wife, fighting with your business partner, it never has to do with the actual event that you're fighting about or that you're upset about or that you're sad about. It always has to do with your brain going back to the worst time in your childhood where someone made you feel a certain way, and then you bring that meaning in. So your brain is doing that because it's supposed to be looking for danger. So it's doing its job. But when you become aware of this, now you can deal with it. For so many years of my marriage, 20 years almost with 2 different women, I had no awareness. I'd get mad for 3 days when she brought me something about myself that she didn't like. I had no idea. I didn't like it. I didn't want to be that way. I had no idea it was because of my childhood programming. And now it's completely different in my intimate relationships. My girlfriend comes to me and says something that bothers her. We talk about it. I don't have to get upset with myself because now I don't have to fight for my worthiness, because I know it's already there. And yours is too. You don't have to fight either. Number 6, your mind always does what it thinks you want it to do. So this means that your mind is constantly trying to please you. And if you give it conflicting messages, guess what? It will often choose the option that brings you the most pleasure. So many adults use food as a coping mechanism when they were children, and they still do as adults. So it helps in an unhealthy way to move you from pain to pleasure. Again, awareness. Why do 98% of diets fail? It has nothing to do with eating and exercise. It's a mental thing. So that's why people gain 50 pounds, lose 50 pounds their whole life. Because until you fix the underlying cause of why you gain the weight in the first place, it's going to come back every time. So when my friends are losing weight, I very kindly and lovingly, from a loving place, say, hey, dudes, or whoever, if it's a dude, most of them are men. My friends are men, but if it's a female, whatever. Great job, Jenny. Great job, Hank. But let me ask you a question. Did you figure out what caused you to gain all that weight in the first place? Because if you didn't, there's a really good chance it's going to come back. So just a side nugget. Number 7, your mind works to move you from pain to pleasure. Just kind of talked about that a little bit. Your mind's constantly trying to push you away from any discomfort and move you towards feeling pleasurable. It's what it's supposed to do, right? And this could be anything from avoiding a difficult conversation with a spouse to seeking out a reward for yourself. Difficult conversations and speaking the truth are not easy. I preach it all the time, but it's not easy. I have to force myself to have these difficult conversations with my girlfriend when I need to, about how I feel or the way that an action made me feel. They're really, really difficult. But every time I do it, I learn something about myself. I grow, I heal, and we become closer. So I urge you. I had a client that went through his hypnosis session a couple of days ago, and he went and had a difficult conversation with his wife, and he's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And I'm like, yes, speak the truth. The truth shall set you free. It's so true. And it's not easy, but if you're suffering, you're not living in the truth. So take the hard route, because what in life that's good is easy, right? Take the hard route, tell the truth, come from a place of love, and I promise you, you won't regret it. So if you feel pain, getting back to the pain and pleasure, if you feel pain, don't reach for alcohol or weed or shopping or food or whatever your vice is, sex, gambling. Just sit with the feeling, feel the feeling, give yourself compassion for the feeling, because likely as a child, you didn't have someone that gave you that compassion. Number 8, I'm going to take a little break and just check to see if there's any comments. Nope, just my comments. Whoops. So number 8, your mind responds to the pictures and words you install. So stop saying negative things to yourself and seeing yourself as you aren't. Treat yourself and talk to yourself like your best friend. My podcast guest, if any of you heard it last night, she's like, I put my beautiful, cutest dog in the world, Rosie, on my lap. She's like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. She's like, if everyone could just treat themselves like they treat their pets. And I'm like, I've never heard that. That's amazing. So yeah, treat yourself like your best friend. Treat yourself like your favorite pet, right? If you wouldn't say it to them, don't say it to yourself, for goodness sakes. You're the most important person in your life. Love yourself. Number 9, your mind wants to stay with what's familiar while avoiding what is unfamiliar, because usually the familiar is safe, even if it's not great. That's why we oftentimes marry the spouse that's just like the parent who created our trauma. Your subconscious mind doesn't care if you're happy or sad. It just wants to keep you alive. So it's like, I'm going to recreate that because you just lived through that in your life. So let's go. So your mind wants to avoid the unfamiliar. Your mind's comfortable with what it knows, and it tends to resist change, right? So it can be hard to break out of your comfort zone and try something new, but it's important, always important, to push ourselves to explore and challenge our beliefs, right? Because that goes back to the awareness thing. All change begins with awareness. Well, your awareness is, what do you believe about yourself? And is it true? And it usually isn't true if it's causing you suffering. So how do you do this? You can do this by making small changes to your routine, adding a morning meditation, or journaling every night for 5 minutes. If you add one small change every week, before you know it, in your daily routine will look different. Hello, Dawn. I hope you're doing well. I hope your new job is rocking. Okay, number 10, whatever you focus on, you get more of. So this rule is all about the power of focus. It means that whatever you give your attention to is what you'll get more of in your life. If you look for crappy things all the time in life, you're going to find them. If you look for the beauty in life, you're going to see it everywhere. The beauty in life is abundant if you just look for it and if you focus on it. So it doesn't just mean to focus on the things in a positive way, but also things you focus on in a negative way. Don't focus on negative things, because that's what you're going to attract. Number 11, you make your beliefs, then your beliefs make you and make your world. So your beliefs are like a filter through which you interpret the world and the events that happen in your life, right? If you believe that something's possible, then it's possible for you. Similarly, if you believe that something is impossible, then it's impossible for you, right? So it's important to be aware of your beliefs and what shapes them. And what often shapes our beliefs are these falsities, these stories that we create from the age of 0 to age of 10. Have you guys heard the Henry Ford quote? Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. He was right. So again, change begins with awareness. Number 12, the strongest force in all of us is that we must act in a way that consistently matches our thinking. If we think we're broken and not enough, that is how you'll behave. Always upset, always taking things personally. And that's what I did when I lived in the untruth for 47 years, that I wasn't enough. So again, change begins with awareness. Number 12, the strongest force in all. My phone started talking. I started talking. So that's what I did. When I didn't think I was enough, I lived in the untruth that I wasn't enough for 47 years. So when my ex-wife would come to me, as I mentioned earlier, I would turn it on her. I would be upset with her for 3 days, and I had no idea why. And it was just my subconscious mind saying, hey, see, she's right. You aren't enough. Something's wrong with you. And then I went into fight or flight or fleeing. I'd oftentimes just shut down. So don't do that. You don't have to do that. Live in the truth that you are enough. Number 13, your thoughts form a blueprint that your mind and body work to make your reality. This means if you're constantly thinking positively and believing in yourself, your mind and body will work together to make that a reality. Our thoughts shape our actions shape our habits, and our habits shape our destiny, our life, right? This means that if we think positively, take positive actions, and develop positive habits, our destiny will be positive. But you can't be positive and live in the untruth, right? You can't, you can try to be positive, but it's not going to change you in a big way if you're thinking that you're less than enough. So you gotta fix that first before you can think positively, and then it will make everything else easier. Number 14, what you present to your mind will present back to you. So this rule emphasizes the importance of being mindful of our thoughts and the words when we use in communicating with ourselves and others. Super important, right? Our thoughts and words contain energy that our mind acts upon. It's super important to create positive self-talk and affirmations, right? One of the daily affirmations I use in my program through a nighttime meditation is I am enough. And it's short and sweet, but it's a powerful affirmation, right? I first found Marissa Peer, the lady who came up with these, just randomly like 10 years ago on YouTube. And she was telling a story about how she saved so many people who were suicidal by just getting them to believe they were enough. She had them put stickies up all over the house. I've got one of her magnets on my refrigerator. I put on my kid's bathroom mirror, I'm enough. So you can do the same. Write it on your mirrors, hang it on your fridge. Set it on your daily reminders in your phone. This one affirmation can profoundly change how you think about yourself. If you'd like me to personally send you the I Am Enough meditation, it's fabulous. Marissa has a brilliant, wonderful, relaxing British accent. So just comment below I am enough, and I'll personally send that to you. Number 15, your mind does not care if what you say is good, bad, indifferent, true, false, healthy, unhealthy, right or wrong. It simply acts on your words regardless. So whether you tell yourself good things or bad things, your mind will take those words and thoughts as the truth. So you've been living most of your life likely based on an untruth you told yourself beginning in your childhood. It may not even come from like a huge traumatic event. It could have come from simply your brother or sister comes home from the hospital after being born, and you felt like your parents favored or loved that sibling more than you, right? So something that simple can cause you for the rest of your life. It could cause you, some people to be meth addicts. That's, these small things. It doesn't have to be this huge trauma. So you may not even realize those things that you told yourself are still affecting you today, but I promise you they are. And if you're like, I don't know if they are, just go take my self-love quiz. If you want a copy of that, a trackable copy, just put quiz in the comments and I'll send you one. Number 16, every thought you think causes a physical reaction and an emotional response. So our thoughts can be incredibly powerful, right? And they can have an immediate effect on our physical and emotional well-being. Every time you think something, a physical reaction, emotional response happens. So negative thoughts can put us in fight or flight. When you're in a triggered state, when you're feeling some type of sadness, anger, you are in a triggered state. You are in a fight or flight, which means your amygdala is going, which means you really can't think straight. So you can tell if you're in fight or flight by your physical response. Your heart rate increases, you get flushed, you get sweaty, you get anxious, your throat tightens up, your chest tightens up, you get dry mouth. And it's important to get yourself out of a state by digging down to the root cause of why you feel that way. So once you realize the feeling came from an untruth that you told yourself a long time ago, it's going to be super easy to get yourself out of that fight or flight mode. And on my tracker that I've given to you guys, and if you want that too, I'll give that to you as well. Just type tracker down there. At the top, it tells you what to do. Pause, identify the emotion by saying I am feeling. Don't identify with the emotion by saying I am sad, because that's a long-term thing. Say I'm feeling, and then give yourself compassion. And that's a brain hack that will kick your amygdala brain to your thinking brain in the front and will help you get out of fight or flight. So if you want that tracker, just type tracker and I'll get it to you. Number 17, the last one, when dealing with the subconscious mind, the greater the conscious effort, the less it responds. So here's another brain hack I'm going to give you. When you forget something, if you try to recall it with your conscious brain, it's going to be really, really difficult. What Marissa taught me was when you forget something, positive, say it'll come back to me, and then stop trying to think about it, and your subconscious mind will go and grab it and bring it back. The more that you involve your conscious mind, the harder it is for you to remember whatever it is that you forgot. So those are the 17 rules of the mind from Marissa Peer, my wonderful mentor who taught me the rapid transformational therapy. As you probably know by now, I help entrepreneurs find more happiness by identifying the thoughts that are causing them to work too much so they can work less and improve their life and relationships. If you work all the time, there's a good chance that work could be your addiction. I've worked with several clients who were working all the time, and it was really hurting their relationships with their spouse and their children. And they realized that it was out of the necessity. They didn't even know it. Remember, we talked about this earlier. They didn't even know it. They weren't aware of it, but the untruth that they were telling themselves of they weren't enough. And so they had to get more. So work was their addiction. And through the work that I do and the hypnosis, we were able to turn that around, and they're all working way less, and their relationships with their family is improving. So if I can help you, if you want to work less and you want to have better relationships in your life, intimate relationships and better relationships with your kids, just comment me below in the comment section, and I'll reach out to you personally to schedule a call. So I hope this was helpful. Happypreneurs. Remember, this is a movement. I can't do this alone. There's so many people that are suffering out there. So many people who are in bad relationships, who weigh too much, who eat too much, who drink too much, who smoke too much. I was talking with someone today who was telling me about a young lady who's in her late 40s, probably hasn't been in a relationship, very, very pretty lady, very successful financially. And she had no affection growing up as a child. And she said she feels uncomfortable actually hugging people now. And I just thought, gosh, that's so sad. Like she wasn't asked to be brought into this world. Her parents brought her in, and then they didn't give her affection. And for 40 something years now, she's suffered with this, and hasn't likely been in deeply connected relationships. I'm just like, there's billions of those people in the world. So I need you guys. I need you to make this transformation with yourself, so then you can help us go and spread this. My goal is to touch a million people's lives. I'm figuring I got 60 years left on this beautiful earth. I turned 50 May 6th. So if you need an address to send the birthday present, just put in the comments below and I'll send it to you. I like expensive cars, maybe a new boat, something like that. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, that's a wrap. Are there any questions, any thoughts, anything that I can do better to make these Tuesday night or Tuesday evening sessions more insightful, more educational, more life-changing? Let me know. I'm going to go see if I can find, see if there's any questions or comments. It's easier to look at my phone, so I'm going to look down at my phone and see if there's any comments. Dawn, your job is tough. I'm sorry. Hello, David. Looks like you were watching. Potomac, go Maryland. Okay, looks like there's no questions. If you have questions, though, you can always reach me or put them in the comments section later, and we'll see them. They'll pop up. And until next time, have a fabulous week. Remember, love heals all. Remember to love yourself, and you love yourself by turning around these untruths that are buried in your subconscious mind. So that's a wrap for today. Take care. Love you all.